That was just.
Woo!
All right, I'm gonna share this. We'll cut the first part. I'm gonna share the screen and then we'll give it a minute before I start. Just want to welcome everyone to Workshop for Moms. You're in the right place if you're here for sensory support with sleep, 3 keys unlock your creative superpower, or rediscovering your spark with me. We'll get started in just a few moments. Just want to make sure you're in the right spot. Again, welcome to Workshop for Moms. I'm Michelle DeKeyser, and I've been co-founding this with 2 wonderful Chennies, Tracy and Ren. They're mother and daughter team. It's been wonderful to work with them. But really what we are is a group of women, moms, and women working together just to support other moms. We want to encourage you. We want to give you that midweek break. We want to give you some tips, and we want to do this together. Momhood should not be doing it alone. We are here to support you. We are here to communicate with you, and let's have some fun and enjoy our kids once again. So on that note, I want to invite and introduce our first speaker, Amy Mathews, who is a committed parent supporting her children and family in becoming well-respected and connected. She offers parent tips and individualized sleep tools to support the school-age child's sleep. I know we all need that. I know that I have some of those nights. And then she ranges from the 6 to 13-year-olds. Amy has over 20 years of experience in pediatric occupation therapist. So she knows what she's talking about, working in schools, outpatient settings, and private pediatric clinics. She has dedicated most of her OT career to working with kids with the neurodiverse system, including kids with autism, ADHD, and sensory processing disorders. So I cannot wait to hear what she has to sleep, because I know I'm going to need some of those tips. Can you take it away, Amy?
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm going to go ahead and jump right over to share my screen. So it'll just take me a moment here. Okay, hang on just a second. Sorry. Trying to find the presenter view here. There we go. Okay, thank you for bearing with me there. Okay, so I just wanted to start off before we kind of dive into sharing tools and support ideas. I wanted just to share a little bit about my sleep story of how I started Sleep Dreams. So my youngest daughter, who's now 12, she had challenges from the time that she was a newborn. And it became clear very quickly that she was going to need additional support for soothing. She never took a pacifier and just needed a lot of extra support to get settled. And then that kind of continued all the way through toddlerhood. We were able to find a number of sensory strategies that worked for her. But then we would hit a rocky point again. And so that kind of continued all the way up till about the time she was 10 during COVID. She ended up having just a very significant bout of anxiety. Her sleep was very quickly and deeply impacted, and it continued this cycle of anxiety and poor sleep that just seemed to make things worse with time. So a lot of times she would end up in my room, really struggling just to settle herself back down. And we were all tired and frustrated. So we got to the point where she was even struggling to go to school because she was experiencing so much anxiety. She would end up trying to work on her schoolwork from home, but then she would kind of melt down, and it was heartbreaking just to see how much she was struggling. So I decided that, sleep was kind of a first stop to address. So I really dug into going back to, some of her sensory supports that had worked before, weighted blankets and various other tools to help her settle. But then I also pulled in a little bit of Reiki and yoga nidra and all kinds of other things that I'm going to share a little bit more about within our 25 minutes of time together. So I did a lot of in addition, I went onto the internet and found really good resources, read all kinds of books, really pulled everything together to be able to create something that would work for her. And she eventually, within, even a couple of weeks, we started to see a real difference. And she was, there were signs of her starting to return to her normal, full of life self again. And now that we've got everything sort of in place, she continues to live her life more fully. Occasionally we'll get off track with her sleep and we'll kind of tap back in. But she's currently thriving in school, with her friends and at home. So on that note, I would like us to go ahead and dive in to some of the tools. We're going to take a minute here, though, first to play and move to really understand how those sensory supports can change our mood and offer us some level of movement prior to even sitting for our workshop. So for the next 3 minutes, I invite you to connect with your inner child and enjoy this short activity. So I'm going to invite you to stand up here in a moment. We're going to push chairs aside, and I would love for you to kind of get up and do this activity with me. So let's see. Okay, hang on just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready. We need a little space for this, and then I'll start the music. And you'll have directions that will kind of come through with the song, and then you can kind of follow my lead as well. So here we go.
Here's a fun song that you can sing. It makes every little cell in your body ring. Pat every single body part when you hear this chorus start.
Okay.
Every little cell in
just
your
kind of
body
tap
is
everywhere.
body is well.
Back.
Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Shake yourself, it's good
Shake
for
it
your
out.
health. Every little cell is happy and well. Shake yourself, it's good for your health. Every little cell is happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Bend your knees and chair pose.
We're gonna do a little
please.
yoga.
Every little cell is happy and well. Bend your knees and chair pose, please. Every little cell is happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Reach up high to the sky. Every little cell is happy and well. Reach up high to the sky. Every little cell is happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Reach for your toes in ragdoll pose. Every little cell is happy and well. Reach for your toes in ragdoll pose. Every little cell is happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Here's one more, make a lion roar. I'm happy and well. Here's one more, make a lion roar. I'm happy and well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Jumping jacks will strengthen your back. Every little cell is happy and well. Jumping jacks will strengthen your back. Every little cell is happy and well. Now let's do it faster. Jumping jacks will strengthen your back. Every little cell is happy and well. Jumping jacks will strengthen your back. Every little cell is happy and well. Jumping jacks will strengthen your back. Every little cell is happy and well. Jumping jacks will strengthen your back. Every little cell is happy and well. Every little cell
slowing
in my
down.
body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. So I don't know about everyone else, but I know that my heart is beating, but I feel good with that movement and that activity. I feel a little more alert. So just know that this is a great movement activity for connecting to your body. And this is something I've done with kids during yoga and my own kids. And it incorporates a lot of sensory support. Movements being one of those, and then tactile input from the touch. The forward fold or the ragdoll can be really helpful for addressing anxiety, and holding that position can be very helpful. So I'm still trying to catch my breath here. I should have probably taken a deep breath before launching in. So let's go ahead and sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and go into sharing some of the sensory supports. So a sensory diet, I will be sharing very specific ideas on the next slide. So I'll hold on diving into that. But then I wanted to share a little bit about, so a weighted blanket, heavy quilt or compression sheet or snug fitting sheet are all things that are considered as a sensory support. These can be very helpful. I'm happy to answer questions about, weight, the percentile that you need to consider when you're picking the right amount of weight for a weighted blanket, and giving some suggestions on where you can find some of these other things. And then as far as magnesium and a high quality supplement to consider, I wanted to share just a little bit about magnesium. It's something I've incorporated into our own family. I know that I've talked to many other families about this, and they've noticed a difference when their kids have taken a magnesium supplement, or a magnesium spray can be also helpful. So for instance, there's the Calm Chewable that's magnesium, and it can help in balancing blood sugar. It can help to optimize circulation and blood pressure. It can help with relaxing tense muscles, reducing pain, and relaxing the nervous system. So for instance, when I use the magnesium spray, I often will get like a foot cramp or a cramp in my calf or something like that. And I've gotten to the point where I notice a difference very quickly when I spray those muscles. It seems to make a real difference. There could be a little bit of a placebo effect that I instantaneously feel a difference, but I know that it is truly helpful. And then specifically, magnesium is likely the #1 mineral deficiency in the world today. And estimates show that upwards of 80% of the population in the US is deficient in this mineral, which is mind-blowing to me, because a lot of people don't necessarily know about this. So the most effective way that you can boost your magnesium level is through topical application onto your skin. A large percentage of magnesium can get lost in the digestive process. And so that's why transdermal is the ideal form, the spray form. And as far as a high quality supplements, something just to support, nutritional support. So I personally use Juice Plus and have used that with my kids and my family for years. And it's basically fruits and vegetables in a capsule. So Juice Plus in particular is well researched. And that's why I mention it, but there's lots of other good high quality supplements out there as well. And then yoga. So I have a background, as was mentioned during my introduction, in kids yoga. And yoga can be great for, there's, the calm down bedtime routines that you can check into. So as you can see, there's a few that are mentioned there. And, I know I mentioned Ragdoll as a specific one that's really helpful. And then for waking up, there's, specific ones that can be helpful for just kind of, anything that involves, so like the star jumps and the goddess squats, those can be helpful just because you're tapping into your proprioceptive system. So you're getting input to your joints, which can cause some of those feel-good neurotransmitters to occur. So it can be helpful just in kind of getting up and getting going. So I definitely recommend considering yoga poses as something to incorporate into bedtime routines or morning wake up. All right, so sensory diet 101. I wanted to go over what this means because I know that as an OT, I'm often describing what a sensory diet is. So it's the reason why it's called that is because it's recommended that you do activities every hour and a half to every 3 hours. Some of the kids that I work with in the schools will have more of like a 1 every hour type of activity, which is great too, if that's possible. So part of the reason why, I'll dive into a little bit with like the length of time in between to consider. So starting off with deep pressure input, I just wanted to give you a couple of examples of what that would look like. So rolling your child up in a blanket, like a sushi roll or a burrito. And then I also like to, once they're rolled up, and making sure, that they're super comfortable, that their head is not necessarily covered. Kids can be, I've seen it many times where a kid wants to be fully covered, but then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, this is too much. So I typically try to make sure that they're able to see at all times. And then I oftentimes will give just a little bit of pressure, just kind of gentle pressure along the length of them, just to give them a little bit of extra. A lot of times they're getting plenty of input just through being rolled up. And yoga mat is a great thing to use. Then only their sort of midsection is usually covered by using a yoga mat. Transitioning to bed on a magic carpet ride is another one of my favorites. I actually, within OT, a lot of times if a kiddo was having a hard time transitioning, I would take a sheet or a blanket and then tell them that it was time to like get onto their magic carpet ride. And then we would transition from the waiting room back to our room. And so this is just a great thing in terms of, again, lots and lots of deep pressure. Kids love it. And the only thing you have to sort of be aware of is making sure that their head's protected if you're going across a harder surface. So sometimes I would even put like a pillow or something just to make sure they don't conk their head as you're pulling them along. And vestibular inputs, which is movements, things that could address this are jumping on a trampoline, and then animal walks is one of our favorite go-tos. it's really easy just to come up with a quick impromptu game of animal walks where maybe you're thinking about like Arctic animals. If the kiddo is a little bit older, just to make it more interesting, they're creating an animal and then you are, and kind of going back and forth can be a fun, easy way to incorporate animal walks. And then one other thing I want to say about vestibular input is that it's powerful and longer lasting. However, you want to limit too much of this type of input before bed, and rather think about adding it earlier in the day because of the fact that it's longer lasting. You might notice a little bit of increased arousal level, and they might have a harder time settling down. So you just want to be mindful of that. And then heavy work, it's great for regulation, increased arousal, and adds a sense of calm simultaneously. So it's a good go-to activity throughout the day. This is one of the ones that I share the most with families. And it just, once you kind of get in the mindset, so it's pushing, pulling, or lifting heavy or weighted items throughout the day. So there are so many ways that a parent could ask their kiddo to help with various things. And once you're sort of in the mindset of, oh, this actually will be good for them if they carry one bag of groceries into the house, or they move the laundry basket, from their room to the laundry room, or whatever the case may be. It's a really good one just because it's very regulating. So we'll go on to the next one. So I wanted to share, some of these activities beyond sensory supports are addressing the emotional state of being for your kids. And when kids are experiencing anxiety, frustration, overwhelm, or feeling disconnected, it can all impact their ability to settle for the evening. And circadian rhythms and sleep hormones can be impacted by many things throughout the day. So for example, electronic devices mimic many of the wavelengths of sunlight that cue your body to stay awake. And so I know a lot of us are very aware of the fact that it's a good idea to shut down devices early. But I think understanding exactly the why, that it's not just the blue light, but like understanding why it's so impactful and what it's doing to our systems is very helpful to understand it a little bit deeper. So two tools that have helped many kids to address their state of being, their emotional state of being, are ones that I want to share with you. So one, I would love for you guys to do this along with me, is called Peace Begins with Me. And I think Michelle has done this with me once before. She'll probably remember. So before I show you the positioning, it's acupressure points combined with words of a mantra that are soothing to your central nervous system. And it's great. I'll teach you the way that I know in terms of the words and things, but it's kind of fun to, if you have maybe an older kiddo who could help substitute in 4 other words if they wanted to, something to kind of play around with. So starting with, we're going to tap each finger individually to our thumb and pair it with a word. So we'll do it through probably like 8 times in total. So if you guys could go ahead and get your hands in position, and we'll start. So we're going to say it in a normal voice first. It's peace begins with me. And we're going to say it 2 more times, normal voice. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And then we're going to say it in a whisper 3 times. Peace begins with One more. And then lastly, if you're comfortable with closing your eyes or just a soft gaze, you can bring your hands down onto your legs. And we're going to do it with our eyes closed or with a soft gaze. And we'll do it 3 more times, but we're going to just say it internally in our heads. Okay. All right. So let me know in the chat if you notice a difference, or you can let me know out loud if you would like to, if you notice any difference in your system as to whether or not you feel a little bit more peaceful. I know I do. Okay, it looks like others are feeling it also. Yes, more calm. Michelle shared and Jenna shared definitely. Great. Okay, so the last tool that I wanted to share is called Yoga Nidra, and it's something that is a little bit newer to me in the last couple of years. It's so I wanted to start off with a quote: "Highest happiness comes upon the yogi whose mind is calmed." This is from the Bhagavad Gita. And then just to describe what Yoga Nidra is it's a form of deep relaxation where it's addressing the state of conscious deep sleep. So kids would get the opportunity to unplug from technology and the pressures of the world. And this can help children to strengthen their mind-body connection. These meditations can be used at bedtime. They are allowed to fall asleep, although generally with a Yoga Nidra, you're encouraging deep relaxation versus sleep. So it's ideal to have the kiddo close or cover their eyes using maybe a scarf or a small eye pillow or a towel to reduce visual stimulation, and then encouraging children to keep their bodies completely still. Usually there's a initial little bit of movement where it's progressive relaxation. So you might be like doing a little bit of maybe fist clench and then relax, fist clench. So, but then once they get past that initial point, then ideally the kiddo is still and very peaceful. So I'm happy to share some links to Yoga Nidras if anybody is interested in trying that with their kids. I know that it's been really effective with some of the families that I've worked with. These are just 2 of the tools that I share, but when I work with families directly to share personalized tools or an individualized sleep plan for your child, I'm happy to tell you more about that and how to connect with me. So I just wanted to share, I know that we'll post a link for this as well, but I would love to meet with anyone who is looking for sleep support, Sleep Dreams Breakthrough session. And I address it through what I call the well-rested and connected sleep vision, where we would start to kind of identify, what some of the challenges are, but then really work toward what is the vision and how do you want to get there. So let's go ahead and I just honor you for being here today for our workshop. And I am just honored to, just to be able to share some of these tools. And I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
We're seeing lots of stuff about weighted blankets. I mean, you're seeing it advertised now for gift giving. How do you make a determination about that? And it's different going to be obviously for a child as for an adult,
Mhm.
but how do you set about deciding what's the right weighted blanket to get for a child?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the current thought on that is 10% of the child's, somewhere between 5 and 10% of the child's weight is what you want to think about. So there's some really great companies out there that also have, like, if you were to forget or had any difficulty in identifying what the right weight would be for your child, it has information on the site on how to determine what the right weight is. But I tend to suggest that parents go with more like the 5% initially, just to see how that feels, how that works, because it can be a little bit of a, it's a tool that might take a little while to adapt to. And it's certainly not for every kiddo. And whenever possible, like, if there's any chance for a kiddo to have to borrow a blanket, that's really nice when that's possible. And I know that that's not always doable, but just to make sure it's going to work, knowing that it might take at least a few nights to get used to it. Some kids take to it right away, and some, it takes them a little while to get used to it.
So it seems like it's kind of based on the idea of like swaddling, when you swaddle a baby, a newborn.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're not necessarily, with a weighted blanket, you're not necessarily like tucking them in, more like how I mentioned, the snug fitting sheets or a little bit of compression. That's a little bit different, because that's really even pressure that's delivered. Whereas a weighted blanket, they tend to be, for kids in particular, they tend to be smaller than a regular blanket. And it's meant to sort of lay just right on top from like chest level. And sometimes it doesn't even work for going over your feet, just because that can feel a little strange, especially if you're laying on your back. And so, like, for instance, my daughter, who really loved the weighted blanket, she had it so that it went like from ankle to chest. And then, but she, it made a world of difference for her in particular. Thank you for those questions.
Well, thank you for the answers, because it's like it kind of came into our view, but it's like, what is it? And
Right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's definitely easy to find them now, but there's still a lot of unknowns about who it's for. And I do feel like it's kind of geared oftentimes towards adults. And certainly those blankets that you might find in the store, a lot of times they're 10 to 15 pounds, and that just won't work for most kids until they're older. So those are definitely typically too heavy, I would say. Okay, so I will stop my share. All right. So I would love to introduce our next speaker. So let me just take a moment here just to make sure I've got what I need. All right, here we go. Okay, so our next speaker is Umayal, sorry. And she is a multi-passionate creator working as a visual artist, creative catalyst, and joy architect. Being a mom of 2 boys, ages 14 and 8, she loves the messy, magical, and mystical creative process. Umayal had a creative calling, which urged her to dive deep into a healing journey to rediscover her true, authentic self. That led her to create and show the artwork at various exhibits and win some awards. Umayal's mission is to guide other women to step into their personal authority by unlocking their creative energy. Welcome.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you, Amy, for that intro. And thank you for sharing your knowledge about sensory kids. And it was really helpful to hear that song that you shared, like Every Little Cell. Yeah,
Good.
it was
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah. I wanted to welcome you all, and yeah, thanks for joining today. And today I wanted to talk about the creative superpower and my journey, like how I explored my creativity and how it helped me to become a better mom. And so I'll just share my slide. Yeah, give me a moment. So yeah,
Here.
three. Mhm. Okay. 3 keys to unlock your creative superpower. Before starting, I just wanted to share about my story, like so how I became an artist. I'm not a I actually like studied to be an architect. I studied architecture and I worked as an architect for a few years. And then after marrying my husband and getting my kids, I felt like I wanted to spend more time with my kids. So I thought if I, as an architect, I felt like it's consuming more time and I won't be able to like spend more time with my kids. So I didn't pursue my career as an architect, and I started to spend my time with my kids. So yeah, I love being with them, playing with my kids, and I usually like take them to the preschool, like playground, play with them, and spend more time with them, and that helped me to connect with my inner child and how I wanted my creativity, or how I wanted to like explore different things. So yeah, and and while I'm playing with them, like so many things came up. As a child, I didn't allow myself to like emotionally connect with myself. I usually, as a child, I didn't get the emotional support. I was like emotionally dysregulated. So I usually suppress my feelings instead of like expressing my needs and wants. That created kind of like a depression, because I usually suppress my needs and I try to like please others. So that made me feel so disassociated, and usually like I'll be there with my kids physically, but emotionally I wasn't able to like support them. So I tried like different I went to therapy and different techniques, like I did yoga and other things to connect with my body. Like I was disassociated with my body. I usually will be in my mind. So that created a lot of like overwhelm and exhaustion for me. Even though I try so many things to relax or to find peace and calm, I wasn't able to do that. So one time I thought maybe I'll try something different, and I went for like a beginner's painting class. And the moving the paintbrush and moving the paints like kind of moved the energy inside me. I felt something is moving in me, and something the joy sparked. So I thought I wanted to explore more. So I'm a self-taught artist, so I just started to explore more about art, different techniques, and I spent more time learning about art, and I wanted to express more of my feelings in art. So art felt like a safe space for me to express my feelings. So yeah, that's why I wanted to like help other moms also to connect with themselves first before they wanted to help their kids to regulate their emotions. When we are in a calm and peaceful state, we'll be able to like help them regulate their emotions. yeah, so art helped me to do that. So I wanted to teach other moms to connect with their inner child through art. So we'll just play and explore different things. Yeah, so you're going to learn about the creative playfulness and can help us to love ourselves more. So when we allow ourselves to feel our feelings, like every day taking some time to think about how we are feeling today and to express that in art. You can draw, doodle, or you can just take colors and just paint, or whatever is easier for you, or whatever you feel like that day. When you connect with yourself and to accept those feelings, that will help us to get more empowered. Yeah. So yeah, during the pandemic, like the mothers are the ones who were like so exhausted, right? So the kids were like working, they were like at home all the time. They were attending classes in Zoom, and yeah, that affected mothers a lot. Like 2 out of 5 married women were stressed during pandemic, and 83% of moms felt like overwhelmed and burned out by the pandemic parenting. So yeah, during that time I became like a full-time artist, and what helped me to calm myself or to center myself is like art. So I gave myself permission to like tell that I need like 2 hours every day to like express myself, so that I can find myself more grounded and centered. So it's like a non-negotiable time, like I set myself to explore what I wanted to feel and to express that in my art. So that helped me a lot to calm myself and to be present with my kids and my family. And yeah, these are the my art. So I began by like exploring nature. So I love to go out in the nature, walking, hiking, and different things. So like how we can see in nature, like everything is changing, or the trees, how the trees are like, they are nature, everything is changing, like the seasons are changing. And yeah, the rhythms, how to connect with the rhythm of the nature, and so that will help us to connect with our own self. So the trees, the roots are really important, right? We have to nourish ourselves as mothers. When we nourish and care for ourselves, self-care is like really important. And it's not just taking a bath, or yeah, those are things are also important, but self-care is more than that. It's like taking care of our feelings, like how we are feeling today, and to expressing that, that is like more important. So that will nourish our soul, and we'll be able to give from a place of like joy and abundance, rather than feeling overwhelmed or stressed. We'll be, when we fill our cup first, when we take time to feel our feelings and connected to ourselves, we'll be able to give that joy and abundance to our kids. Yeah. Yeah, so the creative superpower is nothing but when we take time to explore our inner self and connect with our inner self, we'll be able to move the energy, like stuck energy, like overwhelm or exhaustion that comes when we don't take time to do what we love to do, or what sparks joy in us, right? So expression is like really important in life. Creativity is not just like art, right? We can write or dance or whatever that day you feel like. Yeah, when you connect with yourself, you will, instead of like I should do, having this to-do list and like doing everything that's in the list, yeah, when we like connect with ourselves and to listen to our body, like how do I want to feel today, what sparks joy, do I want to like bake something, or do I want to paint, or do I want to dance? Yeah, like listening to ourselves and expressing, giving ourselves permission to explore that, that will like give us the more energy to like spend time with our kids, or to play with them and connect with them in more meaningful ways. And that's what I wanted to say. Like yeah, these are all my art. Like it was really hard for me to like express those emotions in art. As a child, I didn't allow myself to express. So I felt that loneliness as a child. So connecting with those feelings and expressing it in my art like helped me to feel more lighter. Before that, I was feeling like depression, and I feel like the heaviness inside me. So after expressing those feelings in my art, I felt much more lighter, and I was able to connect with my kids more deeply. Yeah, that's why I want moms to give themselves permission to like explore their feelings and to express it in their art. You don't have to like do like a canvas or anything, just like art journal, like having a journal and every day expressing your feelings in your art will help you. Yeah.
Whoops. I think maybe,
I'm gonna pause for a minute.
yeah.
Mhm. So art is a catalyst for transformation, and using art as a way to experience and feel things rather than to achieve anything. So we are using art to like process our emotions, and it's not about the end product. It's more about the process and how it makes us feel, how we can use like art as a way to feel things. And you can use paints and colors to express our feelings. Yeah, emotional stress shows up in our life as anxiety, fatigue, and overwhelm. So emotions are just energy in motion. So we just have to move the energy, that the stuck energy in our body. So it is not either like good or bad. So emotions are giving us information, and it's informing about our environment. So it's inviting us to change or do something. So when we physically move our body, when we go and do some exercise, walking or something, that will move the emotions. Or we can use art as a way to like, we are using our hands and we are connecting with our body to move those emotions. So doing something to like move those stuck feelings in our body will help us to connect with our authentic self. And that is where our creative power is. And yeah, so the 3 keys to unlock creative superpower is like be still and pause. So we need to take some time for ourselves. So we need to pause, like when we are in a hurry, we are like when we are busy doing things all the time. So we might get overwhelmed and stressed out. So taking time for ourselves, like stopping and pausing to connect with our feelings. Okay, so I'm feeling overwhelmed now, or I'm feeling anxiety. So, and then like connecting with ourselves, breathing deeply, and setting an intention. So having a space for yourself to like explore your emotions or to express it. So having an art journal or something to, if you feel like writing something, you can write on it. Or if you feel like coloring, you can take something to color. Or if you feel like painting watercolor or something, markers, and just express those feelings and give yourself that space so that you can allow that to move through you, so that you can you'll be more centered and grounded to feel. And from that empowered place, you can move forward and take action. So visualizing and using our energy to move through that. Yeah, in our art, we can like set an intention, like I'm feeling this way and I want to feel more joy or abundance. And we can set an intention and visualize it and like express it. That will help us to be more centered and to connect with our kids. And we can like help our kids also to emotionally, how you can like for emotional regulation, how they can like help themselves. Like you can invite them to draw, paint with you, and that will like make you can make like a family thing. You all can create something, setting aside some time and doing some things creatively will like help you to bond with your kids more deeply. Yeah. So yeah, creativity is like imagination, having fun, and it's like a play. We have to like allow ourselves to play more. So play is nothing but we have to like pause, and then we have to let go of what is not working or what is like making us feel more anxiety or stress. So we have to like be aware of it, and then we should be able to like let go of it and accept the feelings that we are feeling. And saying yes to life is like, yeah, taking action, like where we want to go, we need to like take action. Like what is stop when we are aware of what is like stopping us from taking action, and we are allowing it to be present and being mindful about our feelings and expressing it in our art will help us to move forward and take action in life. Yeah. So yeah, if you have like a pen or paper, you can just write down like how you are feeling now. So whatever is like taking a moment to like connect deeply with yourself, like you can do some deep breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, like 3 deep breaths. And then you can just write down like how you're feeling, and whatever is coming to your mind, you can just express that in the paper so that you will know what is going on, what your thoughts are. You will be aware of your thoughts and what is going on. So that when you take a moment to see what story you're telling about yourself in your mind, and consciously craft the stories of new reality that empowers us to grow deeper in alignment with our authentic self through art. That is the power of the creative play. So usually when we are in our mind, we get like so overwhelmed thinking about what we have to do in the future or in the past. And the mind always thinks that. So when we are in our body, when we express ourselves, when we are making art, we are more present with ourselves and our feelings. So, and we can express our feelings in our art. That will like empower us. And yeah, so the breathing to ground ourselves and to set an intention. When we breathe, we are being more mindful of our feelings. We connect with nature and trees. You are planting yourself here in the now, in the present moment. So it is not about the end result. It is about expanding our experiences here and now in the present. So art can help us to be more present and be more mindful with ourselves, and to ground ourselves, to find the center so that we can help our kids to regulate their emotions and to express their feelings. Yeah. And yeah, making art and playing colors to express our feelings rewires our brain. That gives us the opportunity to live as like possibilities. So even though you feel like you are overwhelmed or stressed, you can like transform that into something beautiful. Or yeah, in your art, when you give yourself some time to feel those feelings and express that in your art, you will able to shift from that stressed state into like more joy and love. So colors carry like frequency, and spreading colors across the paper moves our energy. So colors lift you up and raise our vibration. So when we choose colors intentionally and mindfully, that will help us to feel more of that. So red is for passion or love, orange is for like happiness and warmth, green is for like balance and more wealth, harmony. Yellow is for intelligence, creativity, playfulness. So choosing the markers or whatever color you have, using those colors to help you feel those. If you want to feel more optimistic or joy, take a yellow marker or orange marker and like express your feeling. Just scribble something or just draw whatever symbols are coming to you or whatever you want to draw. Use those colors to help you move and feel more positive in life. Yeah. And yeah, visualizing and using our hands to move the energy. When we intentionally make art, we are weaving, moving and shaping our reality. It helps us to trust in life more and step into our life as a creator. By investing in play and creativity, you are also investing in enhanced adaptability, patience, and problem-solving skills. So by being an example, like we have to set an example and embody our truth and our power so that our kids can learn from us. So we have to set an example, right? So that they'll, instead of when we are in our empowered state, they'll be able to like tune into that, and they will also try to regulate their emotions, and they will come to us when they feel like something is like bothering them or something. So you can help them to regulate those emotions and be calm, and how to connect with themselves through art. Like if they can, sometimes they won't be able to speak, right? At times I don't feel like expressing it in words. 1 second, I'll share screen. Yeah. 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 So, yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So when we take a pause and sit with our feelings, we are creating a space for ourselves to feel what is really important to us and accept the reality that we are living in. Allowing ourselves to make a mess and accepting the reality will help us to move through those feelings and be in a more positive mindset. Yeah. So yeah, when you express every time, you show up for yourself, your dream, your vision, and that is where your superpower is. So using emotions as a fuel for creating more beauty and grace in the world. So when we take time to express our feelings, we can use our emotions as a fuel and express that in our art to feel more positive or more joy and more abundance in our life. Yeah, so yeah, because how strange is that, like everything around us is changing all the time. As human beings, we always like resist to change. So how ironic that the difficult times we fear might ruin us are the ones that can break open and help us blossom into who we are. So I love this quote by Elizabeth Lesser. So yeah, how to adapt ourselves and to accept the changes around us. Like art can help us to connect with ourselves more deeply and to experience life from a more fulfilled state, like more in joy and abundance rather than like in stress. So the 3 keys are be still and pause, breathe, set intentions, and visualize and move the energy. And yeah, so life is like pure possibility. And so the question is, what patterns and beliefs do you have that currently create the world you see? So how you can like shift your perspective or your thoughts, how you can like shift it. When you take time and express yourself, that's how we can empower ourselves and to change the perception in our mind. And we can like help our kids also to be more empowered. Yeah, if you want to, yeah, this is my Facebook group and my Calendly link. If you want to learn more about how to connect with your creative superpower, you can like book a call with me. We can chat and I'll help you to connect more deeply with you, your superpower, and to express yourself more freely. Yeah. If you have any questions, yeah, I'll stop the share. Yeah. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Okay, I want to read the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm not. Why am
I wanted to know, what did you do to self-teach? Because your artwork is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, when I started to connect with my feelings, like I just go outside, go in the nature and just explore outside the trees, the nature, and then I just intuitively I allow myself to make a mess. So first I just spread colors all over, and then I just play with it, the textures and paints, and then I will just connect with my higher self and to whatever I wanted to like experience or experienced in my life, like how it made me feel. So I just expressed that in my art. Yeah, I just allowed myself to express freely whatever I felt like, instead of like I need to paint a tree today or I need to paint something. I just go with the flow, and whatever I feel like I just do. If I want to do like a meditative practice, the dot paintings, those help me to ground myself more. So I do all kind of different kind of art, dot painting, or I do like portraits or nature paintings, whatever like I feel like. I'll just allow myself to explore that. Yeah, that helped me.
I also had a question. I heard you say that you typically try to take 2 hours each day to help yourself feel grounded through this process. So
Yeah.
I'm curious about how you've found a good time, or do you stick with like a morning time, or do you? I know with kids it can be a little bit challenging
Yeah.
at times to find those times. So I was curious
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, usually like I do in the evening time, because my husband will be available. He'll take care of the kids, or he'll take care of cooking the dinner or something. So in the evening, I give myself like 2 hours time, so that he'll take care of the kids. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, doesn't it make you just want to jump in and paint?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was so much wisdom in what you said, Umayal. I loved what you said about just being more playful, because I mean, just, you know, thinking about myself and most moms I know, we kind of resist that because it's not being productive and it's not getting something done, or but we forget that, I mean, it's the most important activity in childhood, and it's that for a reason. So why isn't that the same for adults, right?
Yeah.
And you're totally right that it's our superpower. Like there's so much genius in all of us that is lost when we don't allow ourselves the time and the presence to do things like art, or express ourselves in other ways. Like how can we be artful in doing the dishes? How can we be artful in, you know, so many, everything in life, right? I mean, it really, what you're saying really extends to every aspect. It's so, there's so much wisdom. I'm so glad I caught your session.
Yeah, thank you.
You're actually inspiring me. I think we're going to need to do some sort of creative workshop for moms or something, or even having like a separate day or a separate time or something where we do like, we have your genius of leading us through an art thing. We have Jenna's thing, creating something in nature. I mean, like we each come up with something and use that playtime and get some playtime going.
Yeah, sure. We can do something like that. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Very
Yeah,
inspiring.
so whoops, that's a really fun idea, Michelle, like workshops
Uh-huh.
for mom. You know how you go to those evening painting,
Yeah.
Right.
a painting party?
Yeah, we can
You
have
have
like
a
a party.
play party for moms.
Yeah.
Or even if we start turning the last half an hour into that, or I don't know, however we want to work it or something, but like,
Mhm.
we need to add it.
Yeah.
We need some playtime in there.
Playtime is key. I
You're
agree.
so right that it's,
Yeah.
if you're taking the time to come and listen,
Mhm.
we walk away with great tips, but yeah, that would be funny. Something that energizes yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Somehow, even if it's 10 minutes, something, we got to figure that out.
I
Yeah.
wanted
Brainstorming.
to add in one thing regarding related to play with laughter. I did my first laughter yoga class a few weeks ago, and it was so interesting because the teacher was sharing with us a little bit of history behind the guy who started laughter yoga. And he was a researcher and he was studying laughter, and he was like, I realize I don't laugh very much at all. And then he took a look at he really dove in and found out that on average, kids, young kids, will laugh up to 400 times a day, and that adults will only laugh 4 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was interesting as it relates to play also, right? Like, and that expression and the wisdom that you shared. It's so interesting and very necessary for us to find opportunities to play and laugh more.
Yeah, yeah.
A laugh session.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to introduce you, Michelle, our last session with Michelle DeKeyser. Michelle holds a MA in education, spending 8 years dedicated to the classroom before having her own family, 3 active kids. She participated in various mom groups, ran a few, even joined some book clubs, but envisioned something different. Michelle found herself looking around, wondering what she liked to do anymore, and that didn't involve the kids' activities. As she worked to discover her own passions, Michelle realized there is no one-size-fits-all program for moms getting back in touch with themselves. The true key to figuring out our passion and making your goals happen is finding connection in a supportive environment. Therefore, her new mission is to help other moms find their passions in a supportive, empowering environment surrounded by grace while being more present with their families. Michelle has started spreading this message through YouTube, Instagram, and her blog called Connecting Mamas. And her talk is Rediscovering Our Spark. Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Nicole, thank you, Umayal, for such a wonderful introduction. Trying to spotlight myself. I just want to say I am just feel so grateful right now just to be here with you ladies and to be part of this workshop for moms, and just the energy that we bring just by being together and working together is just the knowledge, learning, and having the fun together. And we're gonna do some laughter. I think it's kind of coming up. So I think we all really was a great group today to really just offset each other. And I'm just thankful to be here with you ladies and so grateful for you. On that note, I will share my screen and we're going to check in right now. We're going to check in with ourselves. I forgot to hit present. I will hit present. Take a look at this chart. This chart is from Mark Brackett, and I like to use it. And I've even been using it with my kids as well, because I've looked for some kid ones, but honestly, using the words to start getting them used to the vocabulary has been really good for them. And it's just a good idea for always us to, where are we at right now? And so for me, you coming last, usually I'm used to going first when we do these workshops, and coming last, I feel so calm just having been experiencing your messages and learning from you ladies that like, I'm ready just to dive in. Let's keep this party going. Either share in the chat or I can't see the chat right now, but there we go. Okay, now I can. You can share in the chat or feel free to just unmute and share where you're at the moment.
Okay. So I wanted to ask Michelle on using the chart with your kids.
Mhm.
So how do you show it to them and have them kind of pick out where they are?
Well, we've
And
talked
then what
about in
do you do?
terms, well, we've talked about in terms of the colors, because we go really deep into like what the red means, because we have the low energy. And we've talked a lot about what the colors are. And then we kind of just, they go first by the color, and especially my little one might go to the color, and then she might just kind of pick a word in that color, but then we'll talk about that word that they've picked. So we don't necessarily do it all at once. We start with just the colors and showing like, when we're really angry and we have those hard feelings, that's the red. But then when we're like feeling like just like sad or just, I try to get away from the had mappy and had mad, so we get some more vocabulary in there and getting those words. And so then we kind of go and then kind of show those feelings of what the blue looks like. And then the green, you're like, I'm calm, I'm okay, I'm not quite like high energy, but I can feel that calm. And we go into like, that's green. Then we go into the yellow, like, oh, I'm really anxious, I want to go to school, I'm really excited, like I want the day to start. That would be our yellow. And then they'll just might honestly just pick a word in that category, but then we'll talk about that particular word that they picked, even if it wasn't necessary. And we're like, is that how you feel? Or maybe we'll adjust it based on their description. But I wouldn't do it all at once at any time. I would just start with going through the colors and then have them gravitate towards a color at that moment. And then talk about those words that they gravitate towards. And eventually, as you keep using it, it'll get more expansive. So
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
anyone else want to share where they're at right now? Just throw it out there. We have grateful. I love that. I feel very grateful as well.
Yeah.
And again, the other idea before I move on from this is these are states, right? And reminding our kids that these are states, that they're not permanent. They are how we are at that moment. And because they're states, we can take a step back and identify them. We have that ability to have that perspective on it. And that's essentially what we're trying to do, is work towards that identification so that when we are in those moods, we can take that perspective back and then decide, do we want to do something about that? Or how can we do something for that? Or ask for help because we need to get out of that, to ask for that. And that's our goal, is to be able to know that we're going to ebb and flow through these, but that we have that choice to identify and move to where we want to go. And so I always start with just saying, where are we at now? And then we'll end with that as well after the presentation, just because it's always good to keep checking in. So right now we're making sure that we know that this is a safe space, that we're here to share, we're here to learn together, and just be in that, how I love to say that we're in grace together, becoming that comfort to each other, and just that space to be ourselves and know that we're not here to judge each other. We're only here to listen and to be part with each other and acknowledge each other. And I just want to congratulate you for showing up, because you know what? We always forget as moms to celebrate ourselves. So yay, moms, we're rediscovering who we are again. And part of that is that joy, that excitement, that celebration for ourselves, not just for what our kids are doing, but for what we are doing as moms and for ourselves. And you are here. It's time to celebrate you. And this is where we get the laughter time. We were just talking about that. So you just want to take some time to, right now, everyone just put your big smiles on. If you want to add the laughter to it, it's our time to laugh a little bit, because these cute little babies, this is how we got all started, right? You get this cute little baby to laugh at, and then they start talking to us and like, and those lion voices at us and arguing with us. But remember these cute little faces, and we can still smile and enjoy those sweet moments that our children still give us every single day. Oops, wrong way. So again, my name is Michelle DeKeyser, and I found my passion. My passion is to create community and to connect moms together. I felt just along the way that I didn't necessarily have the support that I needed. I might go to a mom's group and feel really supported in that moment, but then the next day I felt lost, or like didn't feel like reaching out, or didn't have the nerve to reach out to someone from that group. And that's what I want to do. I want to find the way to support the in-between, not just the big presentations like this or the moments where we're in there, but those moments when we really need it. I also love to travel. My husband and I took a year off and traveled around the world. And I for a while, actually lost the love to learn. But again, with going through this journey, I found it again. And that's where I strive is every day learning something new. And I think it keeps our mind going. And I love to create as well, creating presentations, creating ideas, just putting it all together and putting it out into the world. So my biggest focus right now is to learn to be present in the moment. I think that is ultimately our journey all together, is how can we be the most present, most happy in each moment that we are given? And it's not always easy, but that is at least my ultimate goal, is as much as I can do that in each of my days. And right now I feel very fulfilled being here with you ladies and very present with you. And so I think the more we do those things that drive us forward, the more we're able to show that to our kids as well. And I think, this is my family right here. I have 3 kids. Liam is almost 11, almost 12. He'll be 12 on Christmas Eve. And Bella is 9 and Lily is 6 now. Here's Liam when I first became a mom. And that moment when all of a sudden, like, they put this baby in your hands and you're like, what did I just get myself into? Like, you've had some time to think about this, like your belly's getting bigger and you have this perspective, and all of a sudden they're like, this baby's in your hands. Am I actually supposed to take them home? And like all those panics and those feelings come in, but you have all this love. But that was a moment when everything for me changed. And all of a sudden I wasn't just Michelle, I'm now Liam's mom and have not lost that title to this day. But as Liam got older, I've realized somewhere along the lines that him and I kept going at it with each other. He was always the one, I think, who's very similar in my personality. He, as already always wanting to be the martyr, he already wants to be the martyr, like already taking on, well, this can't have me. I'm not going to eat dinner now anymore. You know, you did that and I'm not going to eat it anymore. And that somehow that's going to hurt me. But I saw that, what I used to do in him. And we would just always become a screaming match. And for a long time, I was like, Bill, you go deal with him. You deal with me, go deal with him. But I didn't want that anymore. I wanted a stronger connection with him. And when I going through the self-development, that's where I found the stronger connection with him. By finding my passion to want to do connecting moms, I never dreamed that he'd want to help me make videos, or he'd want to hear what my day was like, or be interested in, like, Mom, have you got any more clients? Like, it's almost like, no, not yet. But his enthusiasm and him wanting to do that, I always thought I'd be taken away from my family if I go do these things. But the more we go towards our light, the more we attract and make those genuine connections. It's no longer about me doing everything for him. It's about us having that communication and connection together. And that's what we're trying to do. And we can't do that when we're being those self-martyrs. We're saying everything for them and we don't take that time for ourselves. And it's not easy to start. That's why we're here, because we're going to start those small habits. It's baby steps. It's not going to go from here to here as much as we want it to. It doesn't work like that. So on that note, what do some of these images invoke? What feelings are you getting from looking at these images? Because I'm sure you can picture yourself being in these shoes at some point. So either pop it out loud or just type in the chat. What are some of the feelings, words that you see from these 2 images? Because I know I felt them. Overwhelmed, yes. Exhausted, very exhausted. And almost no time for yourself, right? You're so busy worrying about the other person. Also disconnected, right? You can see that she's got her child in her hand, but how do you make that connection? And that's what happens when we forget about ourselves, is we get into the overwhelm more, because it's more because we don't know how to have that calm anymore. Like, my daughter can still, I tell you, my 6-year-old can still throw a good 45-minute tantrum. But the way I react to it versus how I used to is a huge difference. And so you can't change the fact that she's going to have a 45-minute tantrum, because she still does. Not one, but last week. And they're still going to happen. But it's how do we respond to that instead of react? And when we take care of ourselves, we have more space to be able to respond rather than react. I'm now like, okay, I'm just going to walk away because I know that it's going to take her at least 10 minutes before I can try to even talk to her. Go back and try. Nope, didn't work. Walk away. But before, it'd always be like, you need to stop. You need to do this. And we need to take that time for ourselves so we have space to help them. It's not going to happen if we're on edge all the time, because we're going to light up. We're going to get our fuse lit further by them. So I created a mom survey, asking moms about their feelings on friendships and just on life. And these are some of the key results that I found from the survey. I had about 100 moms who responded. And the one that really stood out to me was this first one, where she said, I feel the most disconnected from other moms and other human beings than I've ever felt before. And as I do my research on loneliness and the way we feel, it's so true. We've, as a society, created this disconnect. We no longer live in tribes. We don't live in villages. We live in our small little boxes, and we drive in our small little boxes. And we almost live in captivity. We are animals, but we separate ourselves from other humans, except for our little families. And as soon as someone waves at you and smiles, you're like, what? Did they just do that? What? It's like a natural reaction that we go from, like, we've created this disconnect. And now it's not so easy to go from disconnect to connected. Like, there's this big gap in the middle. And so we want to start with those bridges and those baby steps. And so some of the results said is that they want a place where there's no judgment, there's support and positivity. That they're not afraid to call me out when I'm not living to my potential. That we acknowledge some of our difficulties and struggles together. We have ongoing support and encourage active listening through a lens that does not fix it. So a lot of times we're so busy, like, oh, well, I can give them advice. This is what they should do. What you really should be doing is, I used this yesterday in one of my classes, is everyone just close your lips like this. Not too tight, but just enough that when you're talking to someone and practicing this, do that so you don't start talking. Let them talk. Go for those awkward silences, because after the awkward silence is usually when they finally start to reveal what they wanted to say. But if you stop them and say, oh, I know what you're going to say, or I felt like this, or blah, 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 that person just shut down. So we need to practice closing our mouths and just listening. And if you do want to respond to something, don't give your opinion, simply restate what they said. You want to reiterate what they said and not put it in your own opinion, unless they ask for your opinion. You don't need to give it. You need to listen and support. And women tend to put themselves low on the priority list. Anyone else do that around here? So it's hard to connect if we're all putting ourselves low on the priority list, right? We can schedule for our kids, but scheduling for ourselves, wait, where did that go? Brene Brown, I love her. I can be myself when I know that I'm with people who recognize an intricable, unnamable spiritual connection that is shared humanity, because belonging is not in jeopardy. We all need to belong. It is one of our human nature desires, but how we do that is the trick now, because we've created this disconnect in our society with the way we've structured ourselves, that we have to do this alone. We have to do it by ourselves. We don't need to, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't do motherhood alone. We should be doing it together. And so how do we connect? Well, I've come in with a framework for called check-in, where we check in with ourselves through curiosity, honesty, expectations, connection, again, the listening, being intentional. And now that we schedule it, that we plan us into the schedule, we plan our time into the schedule. If you don't put it down, it's not going to happen. So right now, this is your starting place. This is where we start the habits. One little question. What is one thing I enjoyed today? And what is one thing I will be enjoying tomorrow? What about our enjoyment? Take a moment just to write that down. For me, being here has been such an enjoyment, getting my message out, working past my self-doubt to share my inner self, and it's saying, yes, I am enough. Like, my knowledge is enough to share with you ladies. And it's not easy, but then making those connections with you ladies is where it's at. It's because we're working together. We're in this group together that it's fun. I can sit and make a Zoom room like by myself and send it out to people, but it's not as fun. And it's not as meaningful because together we are more powerful and supporting each other. Does anyone want to share what they've enjoyed? A cup of coffee this morning and connecting with you ladies. I love that. A cup of coffee is the best. I'm going to have my afternoon coffee soon. I have my morning coffee and my afternoon coffee. But it's really about the intention, which is the I in check-in, is what am I going to enjoy tomorrow? Plan it out. Give yourselves 10 minutes just to start with. Like, what is one thing I'm going to intentionally plan tomorrow to be in my day? Now, tomorrow is actually, I'm actually looking forward to my son's doing his first big production in the middle school. And so we get to go watch that tomorrow night. And I do have to share that I was really proud of myself last night and really enjoyed it. My son and I both got our black belt testing invites, which I've been working so hard. I've been to Taekwondo 6 times this week just to try to get that black belt invitation. So like, it's those moments, but and we both did it together. So doing it with Liam, like we're both going to go test for our black belt. And I wasn't sure we were going to make it, but we pushed through and got it done. So now we actually could go do the test, but just getting the invite was a big step. And so those are the moments that we're looking for that true connection. What do you want to do with your kids? Not just watching them, but what do you want to do interacting with them? It will not be breaking bricks, but I will be breaking boards. So in creating a space, grace has been such a big part of what I'm doing. And a lot of the way I define grace, I just want to read it to you, ladies. When mamas gather with intention of offering grace, magic happens. I mean, just being in this room with you ladies right now, because we've intended to be here, the magic is happening. Grace allows us to get through the tough times together by lifting each other up. Because we're doing this together, we don't need to do it alone. Giving grace for making the mistakes we learn as we learn to do better. We're not perfect, but we're here to learn together. Grace for working to embrace our differences and learning from each other. We're not the same, and we can embrace that. Doesn't mean we necessarily have to agree, but we can learn from each other. And here's the key: grace for mothering the best we can. We're all doing the best we can, and we're here to support that, not judge, and just appreciate each other for the way that we're each doing it. At Connecting Mamas, we embrace grace to connect and support each other as we identify and live for our passions. It really is about living for our passions so we can invoke the passions in our kids as well. We don't want our daughters to see us being martyrs, so they end up being martyrs in their future. Do you want your daughter to be a martyr? I know I don't want mine to be. So I need to model what that looks like. I need to find that for myself so my daughter can do that for her future. And so now we're going to celebrate because we're looking at what we enjoy. We are making our enjoyments, and we can't forget the celebration part because that's the part I struggle on too, because we don't stop. We just keep going. Okay, well, I did that today. I got that done. All right. No, good job. You got it done. Give yourself credit for it. So at the end of the day, you're not making it to do a to-do list. You're making your to-done list. So in the morning, you want to write your to-do list? Fine. But at night, what did I actually do? Not cross off. These are the things that I did. So today, we decide that we can connect. We're connecting right now. You have an action step. You picked out something you're going to enjoy tomorrow. That is your action step. Just one thing a day that you're planning intentionally to enjoy for yourself. Baby steps. You have a to-done list. At the end of the night, did you write down what you enjoyed today? That's it. Enjoy something, write it down. Then celebrate yourself that you intentionally planned for yourself. This is about you, not your kids, not anyone else. What are you enjoying? And if it's something that involves your kid, great, but it doesn't have to be. Mine tomorrow is I can't wait to see my son perform, but that's been something like in the making forever. So like I'm looking for that, and that's not a bad thing, but make sure you're also doing something for yourself. And so Martha Beck, this is just to live a life that is wrong for you is a form of dying. I felt that. I felt like stuck, like I was dying. There are people who have lives that look perfect. They do. They look perfect. We see them on Facebook all the time. They try to be happy. They believe they should be happy. They are trying to like it, but it's off course from the North Star. They aren't satisfied. So you got all the things, You think the things are going to be the things that make you satisfied? They're not. It's following your inner passions but first step is figuring what those are. And we need to take the time to do that. And we need the space to do that. So on that note, things that worked for me to help find my North Star was community, find those like-minded people to support and grow and share that journey. And then a mentor. There's lots of women out here that have already done it. Find one of them. Don't do it for yourself. Don't think I can do it myself. I'm going to go get my self-help book and read it. Yeah, you'll learn something, but unless you get the accountability and the support to do it, you're not going to take the actions. Knowledge is nothing if you don't take the actions that go with it. So let's do the actions together. And so I mentioned the check-in process. I am offering a free course to do it by yourself, to get a vibe for it, see if it jives with you. And then if you want to join our community of Connecting Mamas, I invite you to a 30-minute check-in call. I'll answer any of your questions and get a check-in plan, personal plan for you. And come to connectingmamas.com to check out more. And actually, currently, I have the 12 days of connection going on through YouTube, and just would love to connect with you. And my whole mission is just to bring moms together and bring our light out so we can do it together and rise the tides, however that is. And I will leave you with one last quote from Jamie Kern Lima, who actually is the first seminar I ever attended, was her Believe It launch, and inspired my whole personal development journey. Being vulnerable is hard, but I've learned that sharing our true, flawed, authentic selves is the only real way connection and love can happen. It's the only way to step into our full power and purpose in our lives. I do, though, want to caution you that vulnerable, I feel like lately, has been a big buzzword, and we don't need to be vulnerable with everyone. So let's just get that off the table. But you do need to find the people you do need to be vulnerable with, because at some point you do need to be your true self, and find that community, whether it's Connecting Mamas or whatever community. Look for those people, like-minded people, find them, share with them. Those are your people, whatever it is for you. So thank you so much for joining me today. Any questions?
No, every time I get something new. I was really glad to see how you use the chart with your kids, because it seemed so big.
It is. And I will admit we haven't done as much recently, but we, like, during homeschooling, and then we still do it. We do pull it out a lot, and they know it. And I think even just that we've done it, that they kind of self-do it sometimes. So I'll hear them saying the words, even without us doing it every day, like, because we've introduced it. And I know that they do a similar one at school, but actually the colors are a little bit different, which is why I didn't like I did go through paid teachers, and try to find like a kid-friendly one. I didn't like any of them.
And why?
And then all of a sudden, just the colors were a little bit different, and the wording, and just I actually like the bigger words. But like I said, if you do it in small chunks, like I'm not start just with the colors and then doing the words, because I mean, it's vocabulary, it's giving them more words. My 6-year-old's getting a lot of the words, so there's no reason not to use the bigger words. Just do it in smaller chunks. I mean, and I believe that there's a blank one, like you could just start with just the colors without the words on it first, and just getting to know the colors and what the colors mean, then start going through. And like I said, sometimes a 6-year-old is like, that one. And then we talk about the word.
Yeah. Well, those of us who've worked in school have been exposed to, all the emotional intelligence charts and stuff. So I was really interested why you as a teacher, was choosing this with the kids. So I like that. And I think that's helpful, because that is also another buzzword, another education buzzword. Yeah.
And I think that sometimes is just like, because I feel like sometimes we try to dumb it down, but not dumb it down, but just kid level entry. But when we're talking about the feelings, like when they start to get the vocabulary, even if it takes a little bit longer, that's going to be so much more expansive, because mad and sad, like a lot of those, like you kind of see the colors, and like that was kind of like the big, like we want that expansive vocabulary for feelings. And the sooner we can start that, the better for the kids. And even just the colors to start with, but then to keep growing in the words. But even my daughter, my 6-year-old, loves it.
Well, and Umayal was, referring to it in her art. So
Yeah.
it was a really interesting pairing because you're saying, well, when I use this color, I'm using this because I'm
Yeah.
feeling like this.
Uh-huh.
But you're also, bringing that into the kids' experience because they know it.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was going to chime in also. I know I've been working with a few friends to go over Atlas of the Heart. There's an HBO series by Brené Brown, and she talks.
This is my Bible.
Oh, there you okay. And the importance
It's right
of,
by my desk.
yeah. So the importance of identifying with the correct feeling, right? That overwhelmed versus stressed, that there's a big difference and it's used interchangeably. And so even understanding the nuance and introducing that to kids at a younger age makes so much sense to me.
Why, Amy, there's a good, I believe it's on, she has the 2 podcasts, but it's on I forget the name of it. She has a good one with Mark Brackett.
Really?
Oh,
Yes. She has a
interesting.
podcast. Renee, I actually made my husband listen to that one. He rolled his eyes at it, but he finally did listen to it. But that was one of the ones I made him listen to because he didn't want to read the book Permission to Feel, but it was like them talking about it. And so it's a really good podcast.
Huh.
Yeah, I'd love to check that out. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the part you said, like we need to celebrate ourselves and congratulate ourselves. Yeah, we don't give ourselves that time to celebrate. Yeah.
Well, we're like, okay, well, I got this done, but I didn't get this done. And you focus on what you didn't get done.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I was even in a accountability call yesterday. I was just like, I have not been doing, I was doing it for a while, like more religiously, like with and then I did again last night and I felt better. Just even putting a few things down that
Mhm.
you that you acknowledge that you did today.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of that when you go to bed versus
Mhm.
what I didn't get done, you can leave your to-do list for the morning.
Yeah.
But at night, just, this is what I got done today. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I did that. And that feeling when you go to bed, like, is so much better for you than worrying. That it takes away some of the worry. Like,
Yeah.
I got enough done today.
Mhm.
And these are the things and honestly, the more you do it, the more you start to realize you got more than you expected yourself to get done. Even if it's not your whole list,
Mhm.
but you start to, the more you do it, the more like you start to get more done.
Yeah.
Or at least acknowledging it, that you feel the energy of it versus like the dread
Yeah.
of the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that perspective shift is
Mhm.
huge because it is difficult not to focus on the what you didn't get done
Yeah.
component.
See, and that helps us
Especially-
have better sleep.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
It does.
And be
It
more
gives you a better
creative.
mindset.
Yeah.
And I think one component to that is shifting your perspective. Sorry, my dogs and cats are going nuts. Shifting your perspective on the to-do list versus the to-done list is that when you have this list and this expectation for your day, then there's little room for fun surprises and magic that can happen in your day. But when you reflect back on that and go, oh my gosh, this happened and I didn't expect to, that was a fun surprise. Or, my daughter came home with, she had a great day at school and that sort of thing. That's a to-do list because that's part of parenting and, your daily life. And, it's just all of those things are so important. And I don't know, I just think having a prescription for your day is really kind of hems you in. So yeah, I love the bigger
Actually,
perspective on that.
Jenny, you just sparked an idea in me of having a made connection list at the end of the day. How many connections did I make?
There,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what meaning was that? Because I mean, it's ultimately about connecting with our kids, connecting with people around us. And so like, what kind of connections I have that especially the ones I didn't expect, because those are the most powerful ones.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down now.
Yeah, me too.
There you go.
But that's what I just love about being in, like, working with you ladies and stuff, coming together is we spark these ideas together and bringing the moms in there. And like, this is how we do that, is having these conversations. And
Mhm.
look, we have 5 people in here. 5 minds are definitely better than one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I've come to love about this group is that we come from so many different backgrounds and expertises, but I'm always amazed by the magical overlap that we have. And it's just so beautiful. I mean, when Tracy pointed it out, I was going to say something too, that you were talking about the colors and Umayal was talking about colors, and just, I mean, I've seen that whether I'm participating or whether I'm watching and listening, there's just so much beautiful overlap. There's just so much depth to this. It's so cool.
Yeah.
When Umayal said spark joy, I'm like, that's me right there.
There you are. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And there's things I heard in Amy's session too. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
those are some of the things that that's part of my work too. And I love hearing other people talk about it from a different perspective.
I know.
Yeah.
I was thinking of yours, Janelle, or Jenna, sorry. Yes, when she was talking about how nature, well, and Umayal too, going out in nature and how that just regulates things. And you give such a good presentation of the whole, your whole system and how all that plays in together. So it is really interesting mind-body connection that we're coming at it from all different little pieces. And and you kind of see that you don't have to be an expert on one thing, because everybody's gone different directions to try and get at these things with our kids, because that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
So it's you see it in schools trying to do it, but it's not the same as when you're able to do that as a parent and just being so mindful of all of this. But I guess the other thing about workshops for moms is we don't want moms to feel just overwhelmed. It's like, oh, now I should be doing this and this and this and this, However, you do have to deal with all those things with kids. It's never, well, like you say, moms never stop, and it is unending with kids, and you don't really get a break from that.
Well, I was thinking, Tracy, how you said the overwhelm, but and all these different ideas that we're getting from Workshop for Moms. But I think that as a mom watching, like, listen to your gut, like what, as one speaker was talking, what actually, like, did something spark in you when they said that idea? Then that's the idea you should run with. Like, you don't need to get all the information. You need to get what's going to work for you and your child, you and your family. So listen to that gut as you're watching your presentation. Were you inspired by something? Those are the ones you should run with and see if they work for you. Not everything, because it is a lot. But like, I mean, I took some notes, but I didn't take notes on everything. So take the ones that spark you and run with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Great point.
And I guess that's probably what we should say in our little opening salvo. It's like, you're going to hear a lot of great stuff today. Don't have to do it all, but that's a
Yeah,
good,
that should be part of the intro. Yeah.
yeah,
What sparks you? Listen to your gut as you're watching this, and something that's
mom gut.
gets your heart, that like hits you, that it comes to you, like when you get that piece of
What sounds the most fun?
yes.
All right. Okay, we'll put that into a little paragraph form and send it out, and everybody kind of tweak it.
And on that note, I'm going to stop the recording on this. I still haven't done it on this part. I'm going to stop this recording.
Okay.